Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Sally up, Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Sally up, Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Sally up, Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground.
Thank you very much. That was the interesting opening. My name is John Pulino, and you are watching a very, 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 very special edition of The Edge. Live TV tonight, and first of all, Billy Wilson is not here tonight. He's home on medical leave. Billy Wilson home on medical leave. Billy, give me a call, 860-613-3031. Billy Wilson is not here tonight, home on medical leave. Dan Blanchard, our guest, the author of Feeling Lucky.
Feeling lucky.
Feeling Lucky. So an author, Billy Wilson, is someone that writes books. So Dan is a very strong person. He's a union rep.
That's
right?
true. Yep.
You're an
Union
advocate.
officer.
You're a teacher. So Dan, you don't live in Middletown.
No, I don't.
So Dan will be asking some of the candidates and some of the incumbents questions tonight.
Hey, why not?
Which is good. That proves we're not afraid. You know, we're not afraid to be up on, you called it Ringling Brothers. We're not afraid to be live without a net, as you would say. So, Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit? I mean, you've been on the show before. Good to see you again.
Thanks,
Thanks.
John. It's always great to be on your show.
How's it
Always have
going?
a great time here. Life's been awesome. I've been really busy, teaching school, doing the union stuff.
How many kids do you have now?
5 kids. 5 kids from.
Wow. So one more for the bunch, the Brady Bunch?
Yeah, well, I
Blanchard
think
bunch?
I think we get our own basketball team. That'll
Yeah,
work.
right.
You know, Jackson 5. It
Oh,
works good. So
man.
the kids can either sing or play basketball.
Dairy
We're all
Indiana,
good.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
got a lot of things going on.
Sure.
I got this book
Yeah.
out. I got a couple other books in the work. I got an academia book that's coming out pretty soon.
I read that, yeah.
Yeah,
On
my-
the you do a lot of Facebook posting.
Yes, I do,
Lindsey
yeah.
and I do not. We don't post anything on Facebook.
Never.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been on social media a bunch
Yeah.
of different ways, and the speaking's coming along nicely.
Yeah.
And just got a lot of good stuff going on right now.
So you, before we go on to the other guests, because you're going to co-host, you're going to be
Yep.
co-host, but
Yep.
you were asked to speak in Africa, one of the countries in Africa, right?
Yes.
See, I did my homework
Yeah,
on you.
You certainly did.
I certainly did.
You certainly did. It was
What country? There's 54 countries in Africa, so what country?
it was down in South Africa.
Really?
South Africa?
Nelson Mandela at one point.
Yeah,
was
yeah.
president.
It was a awesome opportunity.
Really?
Yeah, it was great. They were gonna.
Right.
They did like some kind of outreach program, and some people, I guess, saw me. They checked me out, looked up some
Right.
of my speeches, my material, said they loved me,
Wow.
wanted me to come to Africa. Was gonna pay for a plane ticket for me and my wife, hotel, and they were gonna give us
So-
$15,000 paycheck to speak
As an author or of a stand-up comedian?
as an
I wasn't
author.
just kidding.
As an author.
I can see you down there. Hello, everybody. How
Hello,
are you?
everybody. Yeah.
I know
Still
you.
working on the comedy thing, right? I crack my kids up. Well, I should say I laugh. They don't laugh.
Right. No, I know. But they don't get the.
Yeah.
It's a whole different level of humor.
Yeah, they don't get the
High school humor is.
Yeah, it's completely
We can
different.
do a whole show on that, right?
Yeah, my kids always say things like, "Dad, we've heard that one."
Yeah.
before."
Well, it's like being a member of the Middletown Republican
Yeah.
Town Committee. I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
So
No
anyways,
jokes.
it was a great opportunity, and then I found out the date.
Uh-oh.
They
I
wanted
know.
me. It was the worst possible
August
week,
28th, right?
first week
Yeah,
of school.
Yeah, I can't do it. Oh, they never do it. No.
First week of school.
You could go back in time and meet John Dewey. They'd be like, well, I know the time machine works, but no, you got to be here for the forms.
Yeah, you got to be here
Yep.
for that. And plus, it was going to be my first week of my new special education students.
Right, I understand.
And it was just in my gut. It just wasn't sitting right, not being there. So I turned it down.
Well,
turned it
you
down.
had to per contract. I mean, you didn't have to, but
You know, I got a lot of people
know
telling
your
me that there were
contract.
ways to get around
I
that.
know your contract.
And
right?
I was like, no, I'm not going to do
Oh,
it. There'll
no.
be other opportunities.
No enrichment here. But
Mm-hmm.
on that note, we are going to, this is going to be the speed edge tonight. The speed edge, because we have more guests in here. It's like a hive. That's a bad analogy. But so we're going to have guests talk and out. Talk and out. And to my right and to my far right, we have Lindsey Fralick, who is running for the office of Common Council.
Thank you, John.
And to my far right is former Councilman Philip Pessina.
Thanks, John.
Wow. So we're going to try to limit the time. I hope you don't get mad at me. But
Not at all.
so Lindsey, you're running for Common Council.
Yes, I am.
I am too, and so is Phil. And why are you running?
I'm running because I am tired of the condition of the city of Middletown right now. I grew up here, and went to all of our public schools. And it's interesting, any article about me states that I'm a newcomer.
Right.
I might be a newcomer to the political piece of Middletown, but I am
Political arena,
not a newcomer to the city
Right.
of Middletown. My father, who is a 90-year-old vet, brought my family here in 1969, and I've seen Middletown at its absolute heights, and
Sure.
I've seen it at its absolute lows.
Wow.
And I think we are at a low right now, and I want to see us back up high.
Absolutely. Mr. Pessina he was a policeman, and were you a detective?
No, I was deputy chief of the police department. I retired.
Yep. And you were also a councilman.
Yes.
You were in many building committees and so forth?
Yeah,
You were in a lot of things. I mean.
Three-term council
Yep.
person. And,
And you want to return?
oh yeah, absolutely. When Sandra reached out to me to really ask me to reconsider about coming back on the council, knowing that like Lindsey, like myself and Sandra, we were born, raised, educated in this community. We live Middletown. Our blood is Middletown. And all the decisions that I personally was involved with, as well as Sandra in her city clerk's role, were all based on what we truly felt in our heart for the citizens of Middletown. What I see is happening now is we've really kind of lost the pride in our community. What really energized me to become back involved with our party on the council is that there's a lot of us, Seb, there's a lot of us that really were born and raised here. Nick, I mean, you know, we really, all of us really have a lot to give to the city, and we think this year it's our chance to give back to the
Sure.
community. It's important. It really is important.
That's a great point. Do you have a question for these people, fine people?
Yeah, Lindsey, being like I guess a newcomer on the political scene, do you think that gives you some advantages?
I think it gives me a tremendous advantage. I come from the private sector. I was a director or manager of human resources for close to 25 years. I think that in of itself gave me the opportunity to work with all walks of life, all levels of education, all types of people. And it's also given me an opportunity to negotiate for the little guy, negotiate for the big guy, have everybody's back. But the bottom line is my role as an HR person was never far from the fiscal responsibilities of the company. If I hire poorly, I'm affecting the bottom line. If I train poorly, I'm affecting the bottom line.
That's a good point.
And so that's really one of the things that I think is a strong suit for me is I come with the outside experience, not the lifelong
Right.
political experience.
You're talking practical business experience
Practical
as opposed
business
to political experience, which
Exactly
unfortunately
correct.
sometimes gets you nowhere.
And one of my strengths, and my colleagues would tell you this, is that I was absolutely a star contract negotiator because I believe good contract negotiation benefits everybody. And just to contract negotiate for the business side is going to hurt the business. You have to satisfy everybody. You have to make sure employees are taken care of because those employees are taking care of your bottom line.
That's true, and it's a fine line.
It's a very fine line.
Yeah,
I only gave a little.
Right.
that's great. So, coming from the human resources sector, like what kind of platform, what kind of advice, or what kind of changes do you think that you'd like to see?
I would like to see Middletown address a couple of issues. I would like to see Middletown address what I consider a significant problem in absentee landlordism, because I believe absentee landlordism creates unsafe neighborhoods.
Lots of blight.
And
Yes.
blight. And every child living in this city deserves a safe neighborhood, period, end of story. And that's one thing I'm very committed to.
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
That's a very good goal, and it's something attainable.
It's very
something
attainable.
you could do.
And
That's
I've-
a very good goal.
I fortunately discussed it with our current mayor, who unfortunately dismissed it as a non-issue.
It's funny because I think it would be a great issue. I mean, Molly's off camera, but I think Molly would agree. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, no.
I think it's a great issue. I don't think it's that hard to do. I think, obviously there'd be some committees and studies.
Absolutely.
But we're cleaning up the city.
Cleaning
It's
up the
our
city, which
Right.
ultimately improves
Right.
the grand list, our taxes,
Right, and-
reduces our,
And we become a magnet for businesses.
exactly, and a magnet for better home
We
ownership.
think alike a little bit.
We
there.
do.
That's amazing.
We do.
Go, Phil, go ahead.
It's amazing to hear that because we've always, with my 42 years in policing, okay, I brought the community policing program and philosophy to the city of Middletown. That's one of the things, it's the improvement of the quality of life
Right.
for our city.
Totally.
That's where it starts. That's where I've seen in neighborhoods changes
Right.
based on what she's standing for. And it is an issue. And it is something that a community always should look to address. Because when we fail to address that, we fail our community, we fail our children, and then the neighbors in that sector that we talk about.
Absolutely. Let me.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question for Phil, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
Sure.
no.
No, Phil, you were a policeman for many years.
Yep.
How many years?
33 and a half years in the city of Middletown.
That's a lot
That's
of years.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, and you obviously have a very different perspective as a law enforcement person, because I don't have that perspective. I have the perspective of a public school teacher, as you would,
Yep.
if you were running. So, what do you think would separate you as a policeman, like your point of view on things? Obviously, the
Well-
police contract, I know, but
Okay. Policing in today's society is very important. When I was a deputy chief there, my mantra was this: we have to do our job good. And I used to tell Larry McHugh this, okay, who was president of the Chamber of Commerce. If we don't do our job correctly, if we don't lower the fear factor in the city, whatever neighborhood it is a company going to come here? No, they're not. They want to come to a safe community, a
Yeah.
clean community, an educated
an
community.
unblighted community.
An
And an
Unblighted
unblighted community, okay, because that's where they want to start their business and raise their families. So I used to tell Larry, that was what my goal was
Sure.
as part of the police department, to ensure that we are a very big part of the economic development for our city. All right? Now, I wanted to say another thing, if I could.
Yeah.
Okay, on budgeting. We're faced, and if the citizens understand the golden opportunity you have here today to put some seasoned legislatures on that council, that now with 4 years, we can do budgeting right.
Right.
Budgeting is always, people look at it as numbers. I don't look at it as numbers. A budget is a value statement. It's a value statement on what you and your goal for your department needs to accomplish. I'm telling you now, when we get on the council, that's what we're going to look at budgets from, not only the dollar sign. We're going to look at the value of what the particular director or directors want for their departments. I think it's been a long time that any council person, any mayor has asked, Director, what's the value of this? Can you show me an analysis you've done? Because, see, we keep giving the money to the same type of programs, and as we all know, times change, okay? We have to be on the cusp of those change, and we have to get the value for what we're spending tax
good.
dollars for. And that's why I've been telling the people out on the campaign.
And I'd like to dovetail onto that, gentlemen,
Go
going
ahead.
back to
Go
my
ahead.
real-world
Oh my God.
experience.
Go
Oh my
You guys are
goodness.
getting very passionate
I know, we
on
are
live TV here.
passionate.
I love
That's
this.
okay.
We are.
Super.
We're passionate
We're very
people.
passionate about this.
Excellent.
Real-world experience. We're talking about a particular bonding issue that's a hot topic these days, which is the city parks. And I'm not going to address real turf, artificial turf. More like I'm going to address, if I went to a CEO for a company I worked for, and I asked for $34 million, and I went there with no plan, I would either be laughed out of that CEO's office or I'd be fired.
Or both.
Okay, yeah.
Or both at the
Yeah.
same, absolutely.
Good point.
So, to Phil's point, this administration and the folks in City Hall that are in that administration don't have those plans, don't have that value-added system. They have great pie-in-the-sky ideas, but they don't have the paperwork to back it up.
No bark, but no bite.
No bark, no bite. I mean,
bite, yeah.
I want $33 million. Well, where's your timeline? Who's responsible? What's
Well,
first?
Well, on that note, in the interest of time, because what I'm going to have both of you guys do is give me your why we should vote for you and your spiel, I guess you call it.
Sure.
And then I'm going to talk to you some more. And when you guys unclip your mics, we'll have two surprise people will show up. A lot of surprises tonight. I'm telling you, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's a great show tonight.
It's a lot of Motown surprises. What? trying to get the music people to keep watching, right? So, and, 2 minutes or less, each of you are.
Sure.
You can go first.
Look at the
Ladies
camera.
first?
Sure.
Yeah, ladies first.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I believe I would serve the city of Middletown with honor, dignity, and respect. It is how I was brought up. My mother and father instilled in me a value system that I feel would benefit my fellow citizens of Middletown, Connecticut. I bring to the table, as we've talked about, real-world experience. I bring to the table a citizenship, somebody who's lived here for almost all of her life. I do have experience with politics in Middletown, but more so in raising the awareness of the benefits of Middletown. I sat on the Main Street Advisory Board back in the late 90s when we were trying to revitalize Middletown. I did have my own cable show for a while
I thought
called
it
Downtown Middletown.
I recognize you.
Absolutely. I was a member of the
yeah.
Friends of Long Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So this town is so near and dear to my heart. I was one of the first children to live in Wesleyan Hills, and I want to bring Middletown back. I'm tired of us being lumped in with Hartford and New Haven and Bridgeport. I believe that Sandra Russo-Drisca and the slate of 8 candidates for the council, the Board of Education, Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals, and Treasurer have the best interest of the citizens in mind, not the best interest of other towns in mind. And I will bring absolutely that point every day, all day, with honesty and integrity.
All right.
Very nice.
Councilman Pessina has the floor.
Go, Phil, go.
Okay, with all that being said, I have always stated that I'm a community politician. I run under the Republican umbrella. It's been my desire and my wish, and I know with the candidates that are going to be running on a Republican ticket, that when we get to the council chamber, we're going to hang up those political coats, and we're going to put Middletown first in our decisions. You may ask, how do we do that? It's simple. The decisions that we make on the council, before they're made, we have to put ourselves on how that decision is going to affect you, the taxpayer, you the citizens. We believe in this city. We believe in financial responsibility, open communications, okay? And also, as a senior, which I now call active adults, personally, I want to be an advocate for the seniors. I think it's an untapped resource in our community that when we do decisions and when we make decisions, we need to get out on the road and talk to the seniors. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to bring to the council, okay? With my many years involved with the seniors as well as in policing services. And also public safety. I know this community inside and out. Business, industry, residential, whatever. I've been there. I've been on the road. I've been up front, and I've also worked the streets, and I saw the changes in the city of Middletown. So if you vote for me and the rest of my council and Sandra Drisca, it'll be a Middletown Common Council because we were born, raised in this community, and we want nothing best for it. So get out and vote on November 3rd and give us a chance to lead us in the right direction for the next 4 years.
There you go. Way to go, Phil.
Thank you.
Good job, Phil.
Good luck.
Absolutely.
And,
Hi, Dad.
And on that note, we're not going to go to commercial. I'm going to talk to you about your book some more, and you guys
That'd
can
be great.
unhook, and we get some surprise people. We're going to Nick Fazzino is going to come here with Linda Salafia. So I'm going to talk to you about your book.
Sounds good, John.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about feeling lucky?
Feeling lucky.
Because sometimes I don't feel lucky.
Yeah, you know, and it's easy not to feel lucky. And
I shouldn't say that, but I think
Yeah.
we all do.
well, I think that in this world sometimes can be pretty tough on us.
Right.
This world can kind of beat us up a little bit. And this book right here gives hope.
Yes.
You know, there's lots of teens, you know, actually everybody,
Sure.
adults, you name it. There's lots of people out there that are really struggling in life. And a book like this
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
can give you a lot of hope.
I will confess I've read a couple chapters, but I would like to finish it. But, I mean, let me read you an excerpt.
Cool.
And then you can tell me, you know, well, you wrote this at 4 in the morning, right? Like every night? I remember.
Yes,
You would
I mean,
get
it's-
up and
it's
your
a
kids
great
were
story.
sleeping.
Yeah, I've been getting up at 4 in the morning for the last 6 years.
Why?
7 days a week.
Are you a farmer?
I get the kids.
I know. I have kids. Well, you have some
5
quiet
kids.
time. You have quiet time.
Well, 4 a.m. is the only quiet time I have.
I know. How do people do this? I'm going to read you a couple sentences. You can talk about it, and then we'll go on to our candidates. It's beautiful.
Cool.
And you walked in front of the camera. No names. Nick Fazzino. I don't care.
It's all good.
I'm only kidding. All right. This is page 69.
Page 69.
I like that Granddaddy said a fair fight. That was important to me. I was always aware of how strong it was and how easy it would be able to push people around or intimidate them.
Ah, yes. Okay, this book is written. This is a struggling teen living in a rough neighborhood,
Sure.
you know, rough school, rough home. And, you know, and I'm an inner city school teacher. So I kind of took it from that
I know where you used
paradigm.
to work. I know where you used to work.
Yeah, you know.
I know.
So I kind of took it from that paradigm. And in today society, you get these like these teen boys.
Yeah.
And some of them are, you know, athletic, they're strong, and angry. Because they're, you know, they're a little upset with maybe the hand that life has dealt them.
How luck?
Yeah, so like what I don't want them doing is I don't want them throwing people down.
Right.
I don't want them fighting in the streets.
Right.
You know, if they're
don't want them
gonna,
arrested,
I don't want them arrested. I don't want their future jeopardized.
Right.
So what I want them to do is, you know, take that physical ability, and if you have anger, that's fine. I can work with anger.
Right.
You know, join a sports team.
Right.
Get out there and make it a fair fight on the football field,
Right.
or on you know, or the wrestling mat, the boxing ring, or judo, or whatever it is. Get out there, the
Right.
basketball courts. Make it a fair fight with rules.
Be constructive with your anger, I guess.
Yeah, be constructive with your anger and develop yourself
Right.
into, let's say, a winner. And then once you get really good at winning at one thing,
Sure.
then you could take those skills, that work ethic,
Sure.
you know, that self-esteem. You could take that and you could kind of transfer that over to like the next section of your life
Right.
that you need to improve.
But-
Well, maybe it's the classroom. You know, maybe it's a relationship
Sure.
within your home.
Right, but it's always that first leap of faith, I
Yes.
guess you'd call it. I mean, it's a cliche, but I know what you're saying. But it's hard, and it's
Yeah.
very difficult. We were all teenagers, and I mean, it was difficult.
And it is difficult. I mean, and life is tough.
Right.
Life is tough, so you got to believe in yourself.
Right.
I always say that like life kind of like robs a lot of your life energy, it beats you up.
Right.
And then what you got to do is you got to fill up your emotional bank account.
Right.
So
Your
when
EQ, I
life
guess.
starts making those withdrawals from you,
Right.
you've got like more to give, and you can still go. So how do you do this? You know, you have positive friends.
Right.
Maybe you watch positive movies. You read positive books.
I
know?
agree with you. I mean, I don't, I totally agree with you because I do notice when I was younger, I watched movies that exploitation and all this, but as you get older, I don't want to watch violence. I don't, because I'm older. I have no interest in that. You know,
Absolutely.
it's true. But
Yeah, that stuff just kind of goes by. You don't like that anymore
right.
as you get older.
No, because you're older and you realize that's
Yep. So now I
that's
say
somebody's life, and they have kids, and they,
Yep.
the big
so,
picture.
So feed your mind, feed your
Sure.
emotional bank account with positive things, get around positive people.
Like this ticket.
And, yeah,
Like this
exactly.
ticket, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And you'd be surprised. I mean, you could actually start winning and doing very
Right.
well on certain things.
Absolutely.
And then that can leapfrog into other
That's
things.
why I brought the motivational speaker for our ticket today.
Yeah.
Billy,
Cool.
if you're watching, give him a call.
We miss you, Billy.
We miss you, Billy.
Call us, Billy.
Seb isn't here. Okay.
He's right there.
At least we're funny.
He's
I
right
like,
there.
I like the other shows. Anyways, we have more guests. On my right is Councilwoman, former Councilwoman is the title?
I guess.
Whatever. Linda Salafia. And Nick Fazzino, who is a notable person in town. He belongs to many clubs, and he was also formerly known as Sick Nick. He
That's
was
correct.
a DJ.
That's correct.
You were a
He is a
DJ.
DJ.
You were
You're still a
very.
DJ.
I saw a picture of you. You have this cool beard. What was it, like a
that
Van Dyke? It was.
No, it was just a close-shaven beard,
Yeah.
and I had
Cool
curly
hair. I mean, Nick was
I mean,
sharp
yeah,
looking.
We all permed it back then.
Yeah.
I weighed about 140 pounds, soaking wet.
Oh,
Yeah.
remember those
We
days?
did the nightclub circuit.
Nick was. You did your work in Hartford, I would assume, in New Haven area.
New Haven, Hartford,
Yeah.
Bridgeport, Little New York.
Yeah.
A lot of places in,
Wow.
in
Yeah.
Waterbury.
And you've been all over.
Yeah, I was DJ for quite a long time. I started when I was 17.
Wow.
And,
And you still are a DJ.
Yeah, I still doing parties here
Yeah.
and there. Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah, he was at City Hall the other night doing for no reason. I don't know why he was doing a DJ. I'm kidding.
No, not City Hall, but
But so
But
let's do some questions. Linda Salafia,
Yes.
you're coming back to the political arena.
Yes.
And why? You have a strong background, I know, in finance or with pension boards. So what can you tell us about that?
Well, I worked for the city.
Okay.
I was not born and raised in Middletown, but I started working in Middletown in 1972, which, so I have some of the candidates
Yeah.
beat.
That's the
Even
year
though I-
that's the year The Godfather came out.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
Yeah.
But so I've worked in the private sector a little bit, but mostly for downtown Middletown.
Sure.
I worked in Mallows
Wow.
Jewelers. Even when I was working in Hartford, I worked at Mallows Jewelers, and then I worked for the city.
And you raised an amazing daughter that became a planning and zoning commissioner. I heard a
Yes,
rumor
I
about
did.
that.
All by
Very good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
So,
She
I don't
takes
know-
after her mother.
right, I don't know if this is true.
Only
but
sometimes.
The good times.
Are you the
Yes.
first,
The good
are you the first mother-daughter ticket in Middletown history on either side?
I think so.
I don't know.
Well, that's
I
pretty
Seven,
think
do you think
so.
so?
I don't know.
Seven's nodding yes.
Probably.
Yeah, that's
The
pretty
Wikipedia
cool.
behind me is nodding yes.
Probably. I'm not so sure.
I'm sure
anybody
Ryan
else
Kennedy
would
might call up
be-
and say, well, in
do that.
1804,
Yeah.
Pocahontas' daughter. So,
And I'm not really sure how that
so
happened.
do you, when Molly makes a controversial decision or a decision, do people stop you on the street and they say, you know, that's really an MX zone?
No,
They
no,
don't do that?
no, no.
So,
They will stop me and tell me they're proud of her, but they don't.
right, exactly.
They don't
Cool.
tell me she made the wrong
She's doing a
decision.
very good job.
Oh, I
Very good
concur.
job.
I concur.
Yep.
Twice. So Nick, why are you running? What's up with you?
Why am I running? Because I care about the city of
Right.
Middletown. Born and raised here. I want to say hi to my mother, 98, going to be 99 years old. And I didn't get a chance to see her today, but hi, Mom. She did a good job raising us and
Yeah.
teaching us that Middletown, matter of fact, the United States of America was the best country to live in. And she was, and I always thought
agree.
growing up, and she told us the same thing, that Middletown was a very special town, and it really was since we were kids. And matter of fact, my family knows her family, and we grew up together.
Really? I did not know
It was
this.
very special,
Yeah.
and it was so much fun. And as you got older, what was it, Phil or Lindsey said, that you see your ups and downs, and
Sure.
you see it. And we are right now at a down. And I planning and zoning commission for 4 years in the wetland, and attempted council last election. And I want to come. Trying to make a comeback and
Right.
to make a difference in the town. It's just it's stagnant. It's stagnant. Taxes. I hear the cry for taxes all the time. We've been knocking door to door. That's one of the main topics is taxes. The mayor's not fooling anybody. He thinks he's telling everybody he lowered the taxes. He did not lower the
Right.
taxes. You know, the taxes are the same, but our property values went down. So taxes should have went
Right.
down.
And I always point this out about taxes. I always point out that the Common Council, they vote on the taxes. And since 1991, and I'm sure somebody will correct me, but I think that's correct. Since 1991, the Democrats have been in charge of the Common Council.
Correct.
And we have had, yes, we have controlled the executive branch for 6 years, when Seb was mayor. But now the mayor doesn't show up and say, here's the budget, let's go. It
Correct.
doesn't work that way. But many people out there believe that's how it works, but it doesn't work that way.
No.
So they need to know that, and I always say it.
The
Right.
final
people-
budget is the council's
Right.
budget. They're the ones
They
who are
ratify it.
who are setting the tax rate.
Now the mayor could present.
They presents his
He
budget.
could present his or her budget, and they could say, "Good job, mayor. Here's
bad,
here's
yeah.
2/3. Move on."
But John, making
Right.
a point, I've run MDC statewide appraisal service. I've had it for over 20
Sure.
years. Being in the business,
Right.
the buck stops here.
Right.
I can't blame my help for anything.
No. You're,
They'll
you're-
come to me, I need this, I need
You're
that,
Harry
we
Truman,
need to satisfy
basically,
this person. we need this." I have to make the tough decisions.
Right.
And I have to think about my customers.
Sure.
Whether they can afford it or they can't. And the government is no different. If we can't afford to have a project or funding of some program, you need to put the brakes on.
Right.
And you need to make everybody aware of it.
Sensible spending.
Correct. I mean,
I don't understand it either. I mean, if I went home and I bought what I wanted, and my wife Jean buys what she wants, and the kids are like, "We want that," well, you're going to be destitute.
check what they say, check to check.
Right.
And that's exactly what
Right.
the city's. We're not check to check anymore. We're
Right.
check to debit.
Very
The
good.
debt, I'm
Right.
sorry.
And that's
We
what-
might as well hold up a card that says City of Middletown credit card.
Right.
Because that's exactly what we're
Right.
doing out there. And bonding issue, we're paying interest on that. Don't think it doesn't add up, because it does.
Big interest.
And we keep
right,
bonding
big
and
interest.
bonding and bonding, and it has to stop.
Right.
And you can bond and bring in money and fund these programs, and everything looks peachy, but it's got to be paid back.
Right.
And eventually, it's going to kick you right in the rear, and that's what's happening at this
Right.
time.
That's what happens to a lot of things.
And we need somebody like Sandra Driscoll
Right.
to be up front with a Republican
With a plan.
Common Council with a plan. She
Right,
has a
with a plan.
plan, and she'll be bringing that forth shortly.
Absolutely.
And we're all we're all behind it, and we want to fix Middletown.
Right, and as we go along, if there's a bump in the road, we modify it and we research it and we look at it. That always happens. But if you're willing to go, that far, it's kind of like your book.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have a plan and things change because of what happens, on Wall Street or whatever, or with the budgets. But you have a plan.
An example:
Right.
our water sewer, the connection to the sewer plant, $15 million over budget for poor planning.
Wow.
$15 million, that's a lot of money. Now, my colleagues have no choice but to vote for this, because we're in the middle of it.
Right.
What do you do if you vote that down, or the city of Middletown votes it down? Actually, it's going on a referendum.
Right.
But if we vote that down, we're stuck with a bunch of pipes underground.
Doing nothing.
And for nothing.
Right.
And
What can you do?
who's got,
They have you in a way.
where's the buck
They
stop?
have you by the neck.
With the mayor and his
Right.
administration. This is what we need. We need change. Someone who makes smart decisions
I like
and
this.
plans ahead, and doesn't end up with these debts.
These
But
ridiculous.
unlike
Go
the
ahead,
sewer,
Linda.
unlike the sewer referendum, you can vote down the park and rec referendum for
Correct.
$34 million, because there is no plan. There's nothing that says you can't vote that down and then go back to the table, come up with a plan, a design, set your priorities, figure out what you're really going to do, and then ask for the money.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
there's no harm in voting that down. You're not killing it completely, you're just postponing it.
Do you have a question for
Redrafting.
these guys?
Actually, I have a question for both of them.
Sure.
Linda, this is a second go-around
Yes.
with the Common Council, and a lot of people say the second go-around is even sweeter than the first one. So I'm just wondering, what kind of wisdom are you bringing in? Like, how are you looking at this time different?
I think I know what I'm getting into. I'm not going into it and how
You-
much time and work it does go
Right. Because you know you
involve.
served for 2 years.
Yes, I
You
did.
were on.
I sat.
What committees were you on during that time?
I was on insurance and claims,
Nice.
public works, ECRA, and now I'm pulling a complete blank.
Was that
Arts,
memorable?
oh,
Bunch of
arts.
What was
yes.
it called?
Arts Commission.
Oh, Arts Commission. Okay.
But I do have to say, I've been to a lot of committee meetings,
Yeah.
not as a sitting member, but just as an audience member, so that you know what's going on. You
Right.
have to pay attention. You have to go. While I was still working, I was a union officer,
Yes.
and we had a rule among our officers that you didn't want to be surprised by anything. You didn't want to not know what was going on.
Yep.
So we made an effort to go to all the committee meetings, go to Board of Ed
Right.
meetings,
Yeah, yeah.
go to finance and
Right, right,
government and everything, so that we would know what the employees were talking about when
Right.
and we would
Right.
know, because a lot of times by the time it reaches the Common Council, the discussion's already been had in the commissions.
And you want to be
Yeah.
versed in what
Right,
you're talking
and
about.
so
Absolutely.
you have to kind of
Right.
go back and sit in the commissions, and even now, it's really helpful to go online, read the minutes, read the agendas.
Yeah, online is amazing, and you can see the videos. You
Yes.
can see the
Yeah,
meetings.
So,
it's like, just like you're there.
You know,
Right,
I haven't missed a planning and zoning meeting in 4 years.
No.
I may not have been sitting down in the audience,
But
but
you can watch it on television.
I have it on, playing
And I
on the
think there are a
computer.
couple guys that work at Channel 99 that are really good. No names. But
Well, and there were some,
no,
Yeah,
we
no
can't.
names, no names.
No names.
no name.
That's not here tonight, Billy. Okay. So Nick, what are your goals? Like if I say Nick,
Did you have a
you're-
question?
Yeah, I
for
think
us?
so.
sorry.
Do you have a question?
I know
was
you had a
rude.
question.
It's all good. It's all
I'm
good.
only
I bring
kidding.
somebody else to make it. No, you got to start with
can ask me
me.
that.
He wrote a book.
I get it.
I'm
So
going
Nick,
to ask me after.
Earlier, you said that you'd been all over a lot of big cities,
Yeah.
as DJing. So I'm just wondering, like, this probably gives you an advantage in some ways, doesn't it?
Well, you can see other cultures
Yeah.
and the way other cities work. And they're, yes, very different. That's why Middletown's special.
Yeah.
Sure.
Middletown stands a different, away from everybody. We have a great waterfront. We have citizens in this town that are different. nice, kind people. Not saying anybody else is anywhere else,
Yeah.
but understanding. I mean, and hoping to see Middletown grow. A lot of towns you go to is simply happy with what they got. You know, the government says, you know, the local government, this is what we're doing, this is what we're getting, this is
Yep.
the program, this and that. They sit back and are just happy what they got. Well, I think people in this town aren't. I think people want to see us thrive ahead. Businesses
Yep.
we need to grow the grand list, and we need to bring some businesses in, and people would like that, and see Middletown flourish. As far as Middletown compared to a lot of, we have a beautiful city.
Oh, yeah.
This is a beautiful city. You have your downtown and you have your suburbs, and your suburbs are actually absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
And there's other towns that don't have that luxury. And that's
true.
one of the big differences. I think landscape is excellent here. And
Sure.
citizens who live here, special too.
So for a guy that's been all over, you seem like you have a lot of pride in Middletown.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I love. I'm born and raised here, and I've been here all my life, and my family's gone. You know, I've grown up here. My children,
Yep.
and it's a special place. It's a special
Very
place.
good.
And you had said something about goals, right?
Well, yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
Dan's like, he's taking over the show. Everybody that meets me gets their own show.
That's good.
Everybody,
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I mean, just about. well, that's a different show. We'll talk about that. No, but I just want to know, because I want to end the segment with you guys. So before you guys leave, and I bring in Seb Giuliano, and yes, Billy Seb is here, and Councilwoman Deborah Kleckowski.
I got it.
Yeah. Thank you. So they're going to come in, and then the last 5 minutes, Geno is going to promote his show, because Geno has been doing great work with us, but we'll get to that in a minute. So you guys, it's November 3rd. You're elected, Councilwoman. Nick, what do you guys want to do right away? You guys are running the ticket.
Well, I hope that we have more than 4 people
That's
sitting in the
majority,
council.
yeah.
If we have the majority, I would be too happy to know what I was going to do. We would be unlimited in what we could do.
Right. This is the vision there itself.
The vision.
Right.
I think there's a lot of things we need to curb. We need to curb our spending. We need to review a lot of things that have been put in place in the last 4 years. We need to go back and reevaluate some of our stances. We need to decide what are actual needs and what are wants, and make some hard decisions.
Sure.
It's going to be tough for the next 4 years, and the taxes and the budget, we need to really evaluate and examine what's going on.
Sure.
But we need to have more than 4 Republican minority.
Right.
We need to be the majority
We need to
on
control
the council.
the legislation branch.
There's no way around it. We need to do that.
All right. Mr. Fazzino.
Okay. Basically, I just want to say something to these citizens out there. I'm not here for me. I'm running for office for you. And my promise is to work for you for 4 years with all my heart. I don't want to, I mean, those of you who own homes, I own a home in Middletown. Don't you feel like you're paying rent? I mean, that's exactly what you feel like. I don't feel like I'm paying taxes, but I feel like I'm paying rent in my own home, and I don't have the luxury of extra money to do other things. Taxes need to be stabilized. That's what our goal is. That's one of our goals, to revitalize the waterfront. We really need to bring in prosperous companies
Right.
that really are going to take up the
markup.
tax base to lower. Listen, everybody promises lower taxes. It's very hard to do, but at least stabilize them.
Right, and
You know
I have a
what
goal
I mean?
too.
I mean,
I agree with your goal. My other goal would be that the crew could be quiet in there. But,
That's
but
okay.
thank
But
you. I know.
the important thing is, I'm working for you. And with Sandra at the head of the ticket, and our council working behind with her, I know we can accomplish a lot for the citizens of Middletown.
There you go.
All right.
Way to go.
What we're going to do, just like before, you guys will somehow slip out of here. I'll talk to
Paul?
Mr. Blanchard about his book. We're going to be joined by Councilwoman Deborah Kleckowski and former Mayor and Councilman Sebastian and Giuliano. We'll talk to them. And then Geno, we're going to give you the last 4 minutes to talk about your live show, right, Geno? Geno's going live. We'll talk about that when Geno comes out. Been doing a great job tonight, Geno. So,
Here, Gino.
Geno's been doing great.
He's doing awesome.
You know, Geno does a show. And
Yes,
I
I'm
met
here.
Geno here.
Yep.
And Geno has so much energy.
Yep.
He did a show the other night, and it was about Elmcrest, and it's online. Is it on your website, Geno?
Yeah, it's on my Facebook.
Okay, so it's like.
I was walking right behind you.
I know. Thank you, Seb. Seb's honest. That's why.
Hey, why not?
That's why he was mayor.
Just do
He's
it.
practical. See, he's practical.
Watching people crawl.
My legs.
Just do it,
You know
right?
what?
I think it was from me standing up there.
Gino's last show. It was like watching an episode of 2020. He had great questions. He was on task. It was captivating.
Yeah.
And then when you come out, we'll talk about it if we have time. But Geno, I was very proud of you in that episode.
Great job.
Very serious show for Geno.
I got to tell you, I just met Geno, and small world. He went to elementary school with one of my former students.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, wow, look, check that
Yeah.
out. Huh? So right away, we just hit it right off.
And that's what we do in the Republican Party. We want to bring people in and build them up, and we want Geno to have a show and and excel. He helps us, we help him.
And that's how we succeed in life
Right,
too.
sure.
It's all about leading.
Right.
Being a leader is that
The
you,
plug, let's do the plug.
you
Feeling
help
lucky by Dan
other
Blanchard.
people succeed,
No, absolutely.
and it helps everybody,
Absolutely.
including yourself.
Absolutely. But as you just saw behind me on live TV, Seb said, and this is why I voted for him 3 times for mayor. He saw the problem. He saw
Yeah.
somebody crawling.
Yeah, he's
He
a
said-
problem solver.
He said, I'm not doing that. I'm going to walk behind the
He's got
camera.
his dignity.
He said, I'm walking behind. He said,
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
I'm walking
okay.
behind the camera.
Absolutely. And why not?
And he was, you know what?
Yeah, you
To
know
be
what?
honest with you, he was right.
He was right.
Because he didn't get his pants dirty.
That's true.
That's right.
Everybody
I
hates
don't
dirty
know,
pants.
I'm just saying. Oh, then don't get mad.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, he's full of confidence.
All right. Yes.
He's got confidence.
It reminds me of the governor in the movie. Seems like old times. Very calm and collective. And you have with the Goldie Hawn movie, Neil Simon wrote it. I'm sure you saw it.
Probably a long time
Yeah.
ago, but
I love Neil Simon.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Chevy Chase. So, anyways, on my right is former mayor and current councilman Sebastian Giuliano, also a retired attorney,
yeah.
and councilwoman Deborah Kleckowski
Hello.
is current councilwoman, right?
Current
'Cause I don't want to get it
councilwoman.
wrong, Deborah. I don't want phone calls at 4 a.m.
I would never call you past 4 a.m. Never past 3:30.
Oh boy. Wait.
Yeah.
We will text you though.
Yes, we will text you.
That we will do.
Oh,
Seb will text you a book.
right. Wake the kids, phone the neighbors. All right. Well, you guys are here, and you guys are on the council right now,
Yes.
both of you. You go to the meetings. You go to the subcommittees.
Yes,
So-
we do. It's the Seb and Deb show.
Yeah,
Right, so-
yeah, we're on a couple of them together. So
Cool.
I see Seb more than my husband.
Actually, you probably do because
I
you're
do.
dedicated.
Yeah.
So we have about 12 minutes, and you can tell us, what's happening in Middletown, and Gina will come out around 8:55, and that's it. I don't want to
What's
ask you
cooking?
questions because you guys know what to talk about.
Well,
Yes,
I
we
mean,
do.
pretty much everybody that's been on before us, Phil, Lindsey, Nick, and Linda, have covered a lot of the topics. What I can observe is that Sandra Russo is going to get a city that's not nearly in as good a shape as the one Dan Drew got when he
Right.
came into office. And she's going to have her work cut out for her. She's going to need a strong council to straighten those messes out. We are deeper in debt than we've ever been. We're spending more than we ever have. And as has been pointed out, there's really no good plan for where we're going. We lurch from budget to budget without really considering that what you decide this year is going to have an impact somewhere down the road. You're making a commitment now that you're not so clear that you're willing to honor down the road. Or in many cases, it's like they haven't really thought things through.
It's a quick fix.
They'll use a quick fix, they'll use a one-time infusion of money to pay for something
Right.
that leaves a hole. For example, this year, spending is up $5 million this year over last. How did they fill that hole? Well, they went out and sold $33 million in bonds. And that $33 million came with a $5 million bond premium. Well, they used that $5 million to fill that increase.
Sure.
You're not going to have that next year.
Right.
Plus, you're going to have to budget a payment, a $3 million payment on those bonds you just sold. So before we even start to put next year's budget together, there's an $8 million hole right now.
Sure.
Wow.
Right now. And we haven't even started with the other things
Right.
that are going to create holes like that in the budget. Those are the kinds of things that are facing the next mayor and the next council.
Right.
And if you just keep doing the same things over, that problem is going to compound itself. It's only going to get worse.
That's also the definition of insanity.
Right.
So, Councilwoman Kleckowski.
Well, a lot has been said, but one of the most important things is planning. We have many instances where planning just was a debacle. We've been talking about the sewer and the $15 million, and that just should not happen. But we've had other things. We have a generator that was at the high school that wasn't properly cared for, wasn't set up properly, and now we're spending thousands of dollars trying to get that back online. And our school, the high school, is a shelter, and we're working to increase that. We have animals that we have to take care of. We are an animal shelter. People don't realize that, but when that shelter opens, we take animals. And there's been, we think it's important to cover
bring your
that,
pet.
but this administration doesn't think it's important to have the
Right. That's a good
generator
point,
go out.
very
It
good
is a
point.
very good point.
Well,
And we also.
Well, that's something Councilman Sarah has been for months. Well, ever since we've been on the Public Safety Committee, he's been looking at. He's been trying to get the administration to come up with the money to basically use the generator up to the
Right.
capacity that really it's designed for, and the mayor just won't
Won't
put
budge.
that
Is
out.
there, but is there a
Won't
reason
budget on
why?
it.
I would guess no,
No, I think
I don't
just
go-
being steadfast in his own
Yeah.
point of view, I
because
think.
he feels I'm
someti-
right, you're wrong, I don't need
Well,
to
I
listen,
think
or is it
sometimes
something
if
else?
it's not his idea,
Yeah.
it's not an idea worth pursuing. And we also need, we're talking about budgets and planning, which is critical. We need to plan for things,
Right.
like plan when
Right.
things break down. We had a lot of problems with emergency management. They have trucks that are
Snowstorms,
from the
yeah.
1960s. We just can't have that.
1960s.
Same thing with Public Works, by the way.
Older than us.
Yeah, well, it's not older than Seth, but
To our credit, thanks.
you're welcome.
To our credit,
That's what
over
happens
at,
when you sit next to each other for
over at
meetings.
at City Yard, they do a very good job of maintaining the equipment.
Yes, they do.
We squeeze every bit of life out of that equipment we possibly can.
And you should.
But it doesn't mean
but
it's
not
efficacious
infinite.
to do
Right.
that.
It's not
Right.
going to last forever, and you know that at some point you're going to have to replace that piece of equipment.
Right.
Eventually.
Plan for it. You can kind of figure. All right, we just bought a truck.
Well,
It's good for 15 years. Okay, what's your plan?
Right.
It doesn't hurt you
Sure.
to plan that 15 years from now we're probably going to have to replace this. Now, if we can stretch it to 16, that's gravy.
right.
But if you plan for it, then when the time comes, you're not scrambling to find the money.
Right.
What have we been doing the last 4 years? We've been borrowing money to do things that we didn't used to borrow money for, that we used to
Right.
just either fund a capital projects account for, or we would have it in the budget. Now we're borrowing money to do it. And like Nick said, you borrow money, you got to pay it back.
Sure.
Yeah. Yes, the other thing is we also need to look at is income. We're always talking about spending, but we have opportunities for income. Both Councilman Giuliano and I sit on public safety, and one of the things that has come to light is our animal shelter. It's in Portland currently. We pay rent currently. It's in total disarray. Animal control officers have been hurt. Animals have been hurt. And we need to, there's been a lot of discussion to build an animal shelter in Middletown. And people initially say, oh my God, the spending piece, but it's not just about spending. Sometimes investing is for income.
Right.
We would have income. We would control. When you are in control of your assets, you have more opportunity to create income. And it's not just Portland, by the way, that would be providing income, but it's surrounding towns.
Your regional center.
Right, so we need to look at that, of course, the safety of the animals, and of course, the safety of our animal control officers.
Sure.
I'd like to look at all our departments. Sandra Driscoll-Russo, our mayoral candidate, she and I had a lot of conversations about how to make the town clerk continue to benefit. She's implemented computer systems that made it income bearing, not just taking income. So I think we have other departments where we can do that, not so that we are stonewalling residents and sucking every dime out of them if they want permits, but there are ways to do things. So
Of course there are ways to do things.
There's
They're very
always
simple.
ways.
Sometimes they're very simple.
they are very simple ways, and this is one example, but when you don't prepare properly
Right.
and you're going beyond the life use, the effective life use of things, now you're
Right.
spending money that you didn't have to have
It's
have
kind of
spent.
like, it reminds me of what Seb was talking about at City Yard, the trucks. Somebody told me, and maybe it was Dave Ramsey in his book or something, or maybe somebody told me this, I don't remember. Once you stop paying your car payment, take that payment and put it into a
Yeah, it
savings
is a
account for
Dave
your
Ramsey.
next car.
Right,
And-
so you never have a
Because you're gonna
car
have to-
payment.
You're gonna have to buy a
That
car.
is a
one
Dave
day.
Ramsey philosophy.
If your car lasts another 8 years,
Cool.
good for you. 10 years, 4 years, but now you have something to go after the next car because you're planning for it.
Don't just grab it and say, oh, I can spend it on
Right.
something
You
else
will
now.
need a
You're
car.
gonna need to
You will
replace this
need-
at some point.
Right, you're gonna need a car. You're gonna need, you don't need a
You know,
boat, I
I
guess.
mean, but right now, like, I know Councilman Bauer is always fond of pointing out that if our debt service, if that were a city department,
Right.
it would be the third largest department in the city.
Right.
Be-
That's crazy.
Only schools, only police would be larger. Debt service would be bigger than public works. It would be bigger than recreation.
Right.
It would-
And
So that's a big chunk of
Yeah.
money
That's huge.
Sure.
that's
It
going
is.
out
Third
on
largest
things,
department.
on things that you did years ago
Right.
that you're paying for.
That's nuts.
And we need to look at the efficiency in departments. This came up at a meeting. One of the things we really need to look at, I know your administration tried this, but it has come up again, that the city Board of Ed has employees that are actually city employees.
Right.
We allocate, we being the legislative branch, a specific amount of money to pay for those employees. But now we've learned another employee has been hired that was beyond the scope of what we initially paid for. So how is that? Is somebody not working? We need to have
Right.
better control.
Checks
It's
and
a very tenuous situation having city employees at the Board of Education, but we absolutely have to have that money come back to the city for control and have better communication on, okay, I don't want to begrudge the Board of Ed if they think that they need this
Right,
specific
but
position.
there's a way to
But
do
there
it.
is a communication, pick up the phone. And I did ask at the meeting, if we have this position, what position now is not filled?
Right.
Or if that isn't happening, where's the money?
So
So where's
I
the
don't know what
money?
the money is.
No, it's
I
a
used to know.
rhetorical.
I used
And
He
you know,
knows.
we
Did you look
we
under
are
your bed?
working. Yeah, we are working cooperatively,
Right.
but I think that it's we are neighbors. People forget that we're neighbors.
But-
We
no,
need
I-
to
oh,
talk.
I know what you
we
mean.
need to talk and not just say, okay, I need this. It shows up at a meeting that we know nothing about. It was a position that
Yeah,
we were
all of a sudden-
unfamiliar with.
right, all of a sudden it popped into
It
a committee
popped
meeting.
up.
so
Popped up, no.
Nothing. I don't know. So these and these are
And
efficiencies.
it popped up as a done deal.
as a done
Right.
deal. So
That-
we
but
were.
that's-
It's not like,
How was that
what are we
legal?
talking about then?
And
that
again,
could be a whole
where's-
show. That could be a whole show right there. but-
Yes, it can. So
but-
we need to look at efficiencies,
Right.
and I also believe that we need to cross-train. I understand that there's union issues,
Sure.
but it's a bit, for me, I would like to see every department have a deputy, so that, if the person goes out, there's someone who always can step in.
Mm-hmm.
And also that people are cross-trained. We often have, well, that person's not here, they can't answer it. So I think we need to look at skill sets and
No,
job
that-
responsibilities,
Those are-
and also not spend
Yeah.
on things. We spent a job study that is just irresponsibly done.
Oh, absolutely. But on that note, let me get some final words, a minute.
Sure.
And then I have to have Molly Salafia come out with, and then Geno's going to plug his show.
She's going to crawl, her and baby.
No. Seb has said we're planning.
Done crawling.
That's
We're going
right.
to plan.
Done
This is what we're
crawling.
doing.
The only
We're
person
crawling.
crawling is Molly's baby in utero.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a different
okay.
show.
Yeah,
So,
a much different show.
Mayor Giuliano, Councilwoman Kleckowski, last minute each, and then we're going to have Molly Salafia first chair, and then Geno, you can plug your show.
Okay.
Okay. Well, as I said, I've, 1 term on the council
Right.
after having
Right.
3 terms in the mayor's office. It's a very different environment.
Mm-hmm.
What I've noticed is over the years, we've spent a lot of time reorganizing the city.
Sure.
But by that, I mean the executive branch. The Common Council hasn't really looked at its own organization
Right.
in a long, long
Sure.
time. And we need to organize ourselves to do the job that we've been given to do in the charter, not to do the executive branch's job. Right now, we've been organized to do the executive branch's job, to kind of dovetail with every department. There's a council committee that matches up with a city department. The unintended consequence of that has been that those committees tend to become PR organizations for the department, as opposed to what's our role as a legislative body
Sure.
in this whole process. It's not necessarily just to do what they do or do what they want. We have responsibilities we pass ordinances, which are the laws of the city. we decide what we're going to spend the money on and how much. We're the ones who have the long-term view, because it's very rare that you have 12 new faces on the council at once.
Right.
I mean, that's virtually never going to happen.
Right.
So the continuity is built in for us.
Sure.
And I think what we need to do, given that this is going to be a 4-year term, is to really take that time
Sure.
to look at our own role in the process and design it so it carries that role
Right.
out much better. And that's, I think, one of the first things I'll do. I think that will make Mayor Russo-Driscoll's life a whole lot better, because she knows what she has to do, and we're not going to try and do her job, and she's not going to try and do ours.
Right. Very good.
Yeah,
All right. So, Debbie Kleckowski, you have the floor. and then-
And within that scope, this is something that's been talked about, you've been talking about for a long time. That's where the planning comes in. When we have a referendum of, it was 39 million, now 34 million, 33 million.
33 and a half.
Yeah,
34
and you don't have a
What's a few
plan.
$100,000 among friends, right?
Yeah. And you have to have a plan. I think that people don't realize, we all attend many committees, 5, 6, because we're only 4. It's very important that we have a majority of 8. That way work can be done much more efficiently, and planning can be done much more long-term. I think that's going to be one of the really
Sure.
good things about 4-year terms.
Very good.
So we
All
ask
right.
for a vote.
See how it works.
We have about 4 minutes. I need to get Molly and Geno out here, so thank you. And I'm going to talk to you more about your book.
Great.
So you guys can somehow slink out of it. Figure it out.
No, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do, I'm gonna
No.
hold the set, but I'm just gonna walk, I don't care.
Okay.
He just don't care.
But wait till I interview you, but I will. Feeling Lucky. Now, what's the sequel? Feeling Lucky 2?
No.
I know,
It's
know.
actually, the sequel is actually Feeling Good.
Feeling Good.
Because what happens is, with the 10th grade story of Feeling Lucky,
Right.
you get a kid that's hoping to get lucky,
Right.
is hoping he's going to get a lucky break.
Lucky Break.
And as he starts to develop
Right.
his skills
Right.
and his knowledge, then what happens is he starts to develop his confidence as well.
Right.
And now he's starting to feel good about his opportunities
Sure.
in life. And then the third book, which is
book.
the 12th grade stories, now he's feeling strong.
Okay. Feeling
So he's
Lucky,
feeling
feeling good,
good and
feeling
feeling
strong.
strong.
And the fourth one is The Voyage Home.
Yeah,
Oh,
The
Star
Voyage
Trek.
Home,
Sorry.
Star Trek.
Star Trek. So, look who's here. This has been an amazing show. You have Jack Ewing, Geno. That's a compliment. I love Jim Davis. I was a big fan. I had his poster. I didn't forget it. And Molly Salafia. So, Geno, in 1 minute, can you talk about your live show coming up soon? And then Molly, 1 minute, tell us about 1 minute. So,
Well, I'll try and be nice, short, and to the point.
Thank you, Geno.
Hello, everyone. I'm Geno Cuddy. I am the host of the program Geno in the Evening that currently airs on Fridays from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. That will change. I cannot reveal the time slot that I will be doing my show. All I could reveal is the day, which is Thursday. But I am changing it. It is going to be the most happening show since John Pulino's Edge. It will be the best
Thank you.
darn show
Thank you,
you've
Geno.
ever seen. The Geno in the Evening, it'll be one of the greatest shows you've ever seen, and John will be my first guest.
Sure.
And hopefully I'm been doing a
we have
good
another
job.
guest. He wants to come on. Talk about.
Oh, sure.
Yep. We'll have some fun. We'll mix it
What's the
up.
title of your book?
Feeling Lucky.
Feeling Lucky? Okay, who's that targeted to? What?
Teens.
Oh, so are you going to do one for adults called Getting Lucky?
Oh, boy. Geno. All right, and Molly Salafia is going to round up the show. So I'm signing off. I'm John Pulino. This is Dan Blanchard. He'll be on again. He's trying to get on Billy's show. Billy did not get the email. That's another show. Molly, you have the floor, and we're going to yield it to you and talk away.
So I'm currently vice chair of planning and zoning. This is my first term. We go long and all night. I don't know if that's the model of P&Z, not really, but we have long tedious meetings twice a month.
I worked some of those meetings. You're absolutely correct.
I'm going for my second term because I don't think we're in a good place on planning and zoning. We're really inconsistent with the decisions we're making. We're not sticking to plan and development. I work in architecture in the private industry, and Middletown's difficult to build in, and I want to change that.
So, very good.
That's it.
Cool.
I'd like to thank all the guests tonight. We had more guests than, it was crazy. We had so many people here. It was amazing. People were sneaking out fire exits. Marco was talking. Billy is avoiding us. It's an amazing show.
People went up the fire
They went
pole.
the fire pole. It was like a meeting Saturday morning downtown. What? Okay. All right. We'll see you next time. All right. Good show. Good show. Very good.